friends, romance, countrymen. Welcome back to my channel. So today, well, not today, for me it's tomorrow, for you it's today, the 23rd of April is Shakespeare's birthday. Also, it's the birthday of Amrita by the Book, an incredible booktuber who's also a friend of mine, and I'm going to link her channel below so you can go and send her birthday wishes because she deserves all the love. But going back to Shakespeare, I love Shakespeare. If you know me, you know that. But I didn't want to rank his plays or anything because also I've not read all of his plays. So I decided to do something different. And today I will be recommending to you books that are inspired by Shakespeare. Here's what I found out about myself. I'm not the biggest fan of modern day retellings. Just the idea of taking the sort of plot lines of the play and setting them in modern times just doesn't really appeal to me because the plot lines are not what I love about Shakespeare. What I love about Shakespeare are the words, the text, the vibe. And so it's a very specific kind of Shakespeare-inspired book that I like. So when I went to make a list of books that I read that are in this category, I realized I only read 3, which is not a lot, but I have so many recommendations from other people and from websites and articles that I've read that I also wanted to include. So this will be like a recommendation list if you're also interested in the subject, but I can only really speak on the 3 books in this list. A book that I fell in love with when I was a teenager is Juliet by Anne Frontier, and this book and that was the first time I sort of looked at Shakespeare differently. And this book is inspired by Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So the book follows Juliet, and in the beginning of the book, Juliet's favorite aunt dies. This aunt was like a mother to her growing up, and that's why it was very weird why she left her whole estate and all the money to Juliet's twin sister and not her. The only thing that Juliet got was a key to a safety deposit box in Siena, Italy. So Juliet packs up her things and goes to Siena to try and uncover the mysteries of her family's past. Parallel to this story, we're also in medieval Siena in the 14th century following Julieta. So basically the whole story is based on the theory that the Romeo and Juliet story really did happen. It happened not in Verona but in Siena, and it was such a famous story that it got told a lot. And by the time it reached England and it reached Shakespeare, it changed in many ways, and then he made his own little changes and he put on the Romeo and Juliet that we know that is set in Verona. And so Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet is very much present in the text. It's very much acknowledged as this is a thing that happened, and let's see where this story originated from. I have to say the real story of Julieta and Romeo makes so much sense in this book. I remember for a minute being like, I think this is true because it makes so much sense why it would be in Siena. And it's just It has a beautiful, beautiful medieval city of Siena in Italy. If you ever go to Italy, visit Siena, it's incredible. And it has a mystery, it has a historical fiction thing, and in the chapters where we follow Julieta in the 14th century, there are scenes with Romeo, and in those scenes, in their dialogue, you recognize Shakespeare's words. And it's just incredible, and I love this book so much. The second book that I read that I want to mention is If We Were Villains, which is one of my favorite books ever. If We Were Villains is now a very popular book because it has the dark academia setting, and it does have a murder mystery, and I love all of those elements, but the fact there's also a Shakespeare element just makes it so much better for me. The book is set in an elite American art school where you can study dance and acting and singing. It's like a very small number of subjects that you can study in this elite school. So we follow, oh, it's been a long time, okay. I think it's their 3rd year in the acting program, and this 3rd year of the acting program is literally just these 9 people, 9 kids, and the only thing the acting students in the school study is Shakespeare. That's the only thing they do. They don't do any other plays, any other acting, and I'm pretty sure it's like the second year was all comedies and this third year is all tragedies where the action happens. I really like the premise because it's such a small school and it's such a like tight-knit group of friends, and the way they talk, they always like add lines from Shakespeare from different plays, and it's just so fun. Again, if you love Shakespeare, you love the language, there's so much of it in this book. And basically in the course of this third year, one of these acting students dies, and in the very beginning of the book we meet Oliver, our main character, as he's released from prison. He was serving time for the murder, and he meets with the detective who was the main detective on this case, and the detective just wants answers. What really happened a decade ago? Oh, I love it. And the last book that I read that I wanted to mention is Weird Sisters by Terry Pratchett. I just read this, and this book is literally just an ode to Shakespeare. It's hard to even tell you what play is this mostly based on because there's so many references in the plot. In the text, there's a king who was killed and is now a ghost and wants revenge. There are 3 witches who did not plan to ever meddle into politics, but they sort of have to. There's an acting troupe with a playwright who is trying to write a play. There's just so many things. It's so funny and witty, and I think I mentioned this already in another video. While I was reading this, I had like a checklist in my head of like, which plays have I seen a reference to? I was trying to catch them all like the Pokemon. So these were the 3 books that I have read and I love that were inspired by Shakespeare. I have a list of other books that are on my TBR that I've been recommended by, again, as I said, other people, or I've seen it online, and I just wanted to mention them to you in case, like me, you're always looking for more Shakespeare-inspired stuff. Okay, no time has changed for you, but I took an hour to take a walk. I got stuck in the rain and now I'm back. So the first book on my TBR when it comes to Shakespeare-inspired books is Hackseed by Margaret Atwood. I first heard of this book by Bookishthoughts, and I recently saw it on like in the background on one of the shelves in a Leanne video. So hopefully she also recommends it this way, I don't know. And apparently that book is part of the Hogarth Shakespeare Project, an effort by Hogarth Press to retell works by William Shakespeare for a more modern audience. To do this, Hogarth commissioned well-known writers to select and reimagine the plays, and there are 7 works in the series. There is Hackseed that I mentioned, there's Macbeth by UNESCO, The Gap of Time by Jeanette Winterson. I don't know anything about any other book but Hackseed. That's why this is the only book from the series that I'm recommending. From what Jean said about this book, it sounds like the kind of Shakespeare that I'm talking about, where it's not just retelling the plot but having the element of the play of the language in the book. From what I remember, what I just read on Goodreads, it's about Felix, who takes a job teaching literacy through theater at a correctional institution, and he is putting up the play The Tempest, and it's somehow connected with the fact that his daughter Miranda died 12 years ago. It's really all I know, and I trust Jean. What I love about this premise is the fact that they're putting up a Shakespeare play, so I'm guessing a big part of the book will be the play, the language, and how different characters relate to different roles within this play. Interestingly enough, I'm absolutely not interested in any like YA book set in an American high school where they are putting up a Shakespeare play. It seems like a very similar concept, but I don't know what is it. Maybe it's pairing Shakespeare and American teenagers that just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. So the next book I heard about from Mel's channel. She is studying acting in London. I think it's London. and she talked about this play and it just sounded so good, and I've been trying to get a hold of it, but it's very hard to find, so I don't know when will I get a chance to read it. Hopefully soon-ish. And it's called Red Velvet by Lalita Chakrabarti. The play is set in 1833. Edmund Kean, the greatest actor of his generation, has collapsed on stage whilst playing Othello. A young black American actor, Ira Aldrich, has been asked to take over the role. But as the public riot in the streets, how will the cast, critics, and audience react to the revolution taking place in the theater? Red Velvet uses imagined experiences based on the often forgotten but true story of Ira Aldrich, an African-American actor who, in the 19th century, built an incredible reputation on the stages of London and Europe. And actually, Ira Aldrich was the very first black actor to play Othello on a London stage, and he made history with that. And what fascinates me about this play is the idea of this actor dealing with the challenges of being the first black actor and the racism around him in the theater community, at the same time playing Othello and dealing with the challenges that Othello is facing in that play in that time, and maybe finding, I don't know, solace in the language again. I'm just so excited to read this play one day. I'm anticipating some parallels in the experiences of Ira and Othello. Next is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is a very popular book that I've heard of a lot in the last 2 years, and I would say that initially I heard this from BooksandLala, from Kayla. So in this world there's some kind of flu that sweeps across the world, killing most of humanity. This book follows the lives of various survivors, tracing how their lives intersect in a group of entertainers called the Traveling Symphony. The thread that connects their stories is Arthur Leander, an aging Hollywood star who, on the same night as the plague began destroying civilization, was trying to reboot his career when he died on stage in Toronto during King Lear. We jump back and forth in time, watching how his life influenced what will happen to our band of survivors. And I'm pretty sure they're trying to also put up a Shakespeare play. I've heard a lot of good things about this novel. I'm for some reason not as excited about this one as I'm excited about the other ones, just because I'm not sure how big is Shakespeare's role in the story. So if you know, let me know. Next is a book I'm very excited about, and I found out about it yesterday. It's called The Tragedy of Arthur by Arthur Phillips. And in this novel, a writer named Arthur discovers that his father has been in possession of a lost play by Shakespeare called, as you probably guessed, The Tragedy of Arthur. Arthur and his sister set out to get the play published while also trying to figure out whether or not it's all just another of their father's elaborate cons. The novel's form follows that of a real such publication, replete with a preface, a long introduction, and in a feat of impressive mimicry, the full text of The Tragedy of Arthur, as in Phillips wrote a 5-act Shakespearean version of King Arthur and put it into a novel. It's a virtuoso performance for Shakespeare fans, yes, but also anyone who appreciates bold and brazen talent. Oh my god, a fake Shakespeare play? Yes! And here we are. Most of this list are books that I've not read yet, but I really want to get to, and 3 books that I have read and loved, and I really recommend to you if you're a Shakespeare fan. If you have a recommendation for me that would fit this category, please let me know. I'm always searching for more books that have some Shakespeare in them. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. And a happy birthday to Shakespeare and Amrita.